Welcome back to the She Thrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women, as well as a public speaker, columnist for the Rochester Women Online magazine, as well as a co-author to two amazing anthologies, Warrior Women and Born to Risk. And I am so excited to be recording this episode and sharing all of this information that I'm about to share with you today, because I have been on this incredible journey of reconnecting, resetting, healing, and just really opening up barriers that I didn't even know I had. But before I dive into that, let me just tell you a little bit about myself if you haven't already um, joined this podcast before in the past. I am a recovering alcoholic of 13 and a half years. And my journey in recovery has opened up a lot of doors to healing, transformation, and growth, and really stepping into my truest potential and hearing my calling. And the work that I love to do is helping women and guiding women to opening up their own barriers and opening up doors they didn't even know they had closed so that they can step into their truest self, their highest self, and live to their fullest potential. And I started this podcast as part of that mission to be able to not only share my story and the things that I've experienced, but to also bring on other women so that they can share their stories, things that they've overcome, to bring positive influence into the world for all women. So we all know that we are not alone and build a community, right? Because we thrive in community. And that is what this is all about. So, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, download your favorite episode, never miss another episode, share with your friends. Let's keep this podcast going and growing so that women all over the world can hear a message of hope and inspiration. So, today I want to talk to you a little bit about my little journey in Plateau. So, a part of my journey is, of the whole picture of the last 13 and a half years was a weight loss journey. And so after I got sober, I switched to food as another addiction. Baked goods and greasy food and all the things. And I ended up becoming obese. So I went from being like 165 pounds to just about 300 by the time I started really diving into making lifestyle choices that were going to better my health and how I manage stress, how I coped with life. Because at this point, I was, what, 6 years sober, I think, when I really kind of dove into it and decided, you know what? I was smoking like a fiend, right? Like the way I dealt with stress was to drive around in my car, chain smoking cigarettes, blasting music, and just not really dealing, right? That was just what I did. And I realized at 34 years old that I could not walk up a flight of stairs without losing my breath or lay down at night to sleep without wheezing. And I just realized that this isn't how I wanted to live. Like, I kind of got a glimpse of where my future was going and where my health was, and I didn't like it, right? I just felt I was too young to be having these issues. And I wanted to be able to run and enjoy life and be active. So I quit smoking. And instead of driving around in my car blasting music to deal with stress, I went to the gym. And I figured, well, I'll just walk on the treadmill, run on the treadmill, whatever, and that'll be how I cope with stress. And if I lose weight, I lose weight. And as I let that go, I started to make small sustainable shifts in diet choices. So instead of my big 23-ounce cup of diet soda that I drank on a daily basis and cup of coffee, I switched over from the soda to water to seltzer, and then, started, instead of having two baked goods a day, I would have maybe one once a week just because, I don't believe in depriving. I just don't. I believe that we should still be able to enjoy food and just do it in a healthier way. So, needless to say, I started losing weight. And at one point, I did plateau and I started kind of giving all of my energy into a healing journey from trauma. So, instead of plateauing, I actually started putting weight back on because I was putting all of my energy into this healing that I was just exhausted, on top of being in a work environment that just completely depleted me. So by the end of my day, I would just come home, fall asleep on my couch, and at least 3 times a week order pizza for dinner because I didn't feel like cooking anything. And the weight started to come back on. And then I started to, when I felt that I was comfortable with the healing process and I was ready, I dove back into my health and wellness journey and lost the weight that I put on and then some. So altogether, over the course of 3 years, I dropped about 150 pounds. Here's the kicker. 2022, I started putting weight back on. I had gotten COVID. And then I ended up with that long-term COVID where I was having respiratory issues and I was out of work for 6 weeks. I lost my voice. It was not a fun time, but I also lost energy and I was exhausted. I mean, the day before I tested positive for COVID, I was walking 7 miles and I was working out in the mornings. And now I can barely walk off my front porch and walk to the curb without losing my energy and needing to turn around and go sit down. So that kind of was the start. And I put about 10, 15 pounds on before my wedding. Thank God I still fit in my dress, but it was a little tighter, not gonna lie. Um, and then from there, it just kind of, over the last couple of years, it's just kind of, put on from that point, right? So here I am, 2025, and I'm about 30 pounds heavier than I was back in 2022. So in 3 years, I put on 30 pounds. And today, I weighed myself, not my favorite thing in the world. What woman at 40 years old or 42 loves weighing themselves? Not me. And I got on the scale and I am down 10 pounds. And I had a really hard time believing what I was seeing. Like, I had to get off the scale and look at where the point was the last time I weighed myself to where it is now. And really just like, is that really 10 pounds? Is that really 10 pounds? Like, I'm like, what? And here's why I was like that. Because I have been trying to lose that weight now since March. And I have not been able to lose anything. And I was really starting to get frustrated because I'm doing all the things, right? I'm working out every single day. I'm, I have my morning elixir in the morning. I'm having protein shake. Blah, 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 making sure I'm getting at the protein, the fiber, the macronutrients, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing more now than I ever had to do before. And I haven't dropped a single pound. And I even went to my doctor and I said to her, I said, if I were doing what I'm doing now at 20 years old, the weight would have just fell off. And I'm like, even in my 30s, I would have had no problem. She goes, you're in perimenopause, and this is the struggle that all women have when they're in perimenopause. It's this is just your body. And that sad moment of realizing that your metabolism has completely slowed down and that struggle is now real. So is plateau the right word? Maybe. Like a very, very, very long, frustrating plateau. But I had to try something different, right? And so realistically, I had to reset, refocus, recharge, reconnect. And I really started doing some deep inner work that I believe contributed to the the loss of the weight. And I believe this because when I got on the scale in 2020 and realized that I had hit a 150 weight loss, 150-pound weight loss, um, I believe that a part of that was because I had not only done a lot of healing on that trauma, but I also was eliminating people in my life that were highly toxic and, you know, very harmful to my well-being and finally freed myself, right? And I healed from that and I was healing from that because our body, and sometimes we don't even realize we're doing this, but that weight can be a shield protecting us from more pain or more trauma. And our body kind of just stores it, and it's like that little cushion and that protection. And when we start to work through that pain or that trauma, or we're eliminating that, toxic person out of our lives, our body no longer needs to hold on to that shield. And just the energetic shifts that have been going on inside me have just been it's just been beautiful. It's really been a beautiful journey. And I'm going to share with you the steps that I've taken. But outside of that, I also want to let you know that I have created a 30-day reset program around all of these steps because I believe that if I can balance my hormones, if I can make these shifts, if I can break that plateau and be able to lose this weight, any woman can. And this is why this program is designed for women 40 and over. So I'm going to share with you the little details, and I'm going to put in the description my scheduling link for a discovery call and book a call with me. Let's hop on a discovery call. It's completely complimentary, and I want to talk to you about what your goals are and how I can serve you in getting you started on your journey so that you can have similar results, maybe even better results, right? So the truth about plateaus is they are common, but it is not a sign of failure. So even throughout the weight loss journey I went on a few years ago, I mean, there would be moments where I would completely and totally just stop losing weight. And I would try to find ways to break that plateau. So sometimes I would kind of take like a day, maybe two, of just eating whatever I wanted and then diverting back. And I don't even know if this is more of a mental thing, but this for some reason it worked where it was kind of like I just like did like a metabolism reset. And when I went right back over to my, lifestyle of the healthier choices, it started to work again. I started to lose again. But it was gradual. It wasn't fast. And that's the thing is that this is a journey. This is not a hack. This is not some quick fix. I just want to make sure I put that out there very, very clear because this is coming from a place of intention. This is coming from a place of self-love and care. This is coming from a place of, you know, of true, authentic love for your body and how you nurture it. I don't believe in hacks. I don't believe that quick fixes are going to be the best thing for you. This is really a jumpstart to lifestyle change. That's what all of this is for. And when we plateau, we kind of have to navigate through making shifts. So sometimes that requires having to make certain changes, because what might have been working for you is no longer working for you. So now you kind of have to find a way to make it work for you going forward. But I will highly recommend that you don't do what I did, where I would for like a day just kind of like eat whatever I want, because I honestly don't think that that was the smart way of doing it. I didn't have a lot of knowledge in health and wellness at the time. I hadn't studied under the Institute of Integrative Nutrition at that time. I think that was more of a mental thing. I think the reason why I my plateau broke was because I still stayed intentional with my workouts and I still was eating healthy. I just, kind of got a little laxed for like a day. But I didn't give up. I stayed going until it kind of just, and I would make little changes here and there, little positive changes, you know. And in this instance, I feel like I had to make some really big changes because the things I used to get away with when I was, in my 30s, I can't get away with anymore. And that was part of why I put the weight on was because, well, I did find myself stress eating. And, we would have our patients at the dental office I work in bring us goodies and treats, which I'm so grateful for and love them dearly for it. But every time I'd go into the break room, I'd see, the cookies or, the brownies or whatever. And one isn't going to hurt me. All right, maybe I'll have one more, right? Or it's a very, very stressful day and we're going, 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 haven't really sat down to take a break and have lunch. So now you're grasping at anything just because your blood sugar dropped and you feel like crap and you're running out of fuel. So you're just grabbing the first thing you see and you're getting out of work at the end of the day and you're binge eating before dinner and sitting down and having a meal that's got larger portions and you just basically overate. And that is what happened with me. And part of the reason I had to do this reset. And so, but when I was younger, I could get away with having with okay, well, it's not really going to hurt me if I have one cookie, right? Like it still won't, but the second cookie and then the next day, two more cookies. It's like can't get away with that stuff anymore. Just can't. And it's so frustrating. And if you are a woman in your 40s, I know you know what I'm talking about and I know you feel this, right? Like I know you do. So, um, but the reality is that the plateaus, they're going to happen. That doesn't mean give up. Like it's not, and believe me, I've had my moments in the last couple of months where I was like, I don't know why I'm even bothering, right? But I was feeling good with my workouts and things like that, and I just knew not to give up. But I did have to make some shifts. So, what was it that I changed? What did I shift that I was able to break this plateau and in the course of the last month lose 10 pounds? And I had to let go of the scale obsession because I was weighing myself like twice a week, once a week, sometimes maybe even just like 3 times a month. But I was obsessing with the scale. When I was a teenager, I battled eating disorders, eat diet pills, anorexia, and obsessing over the scale is a real dangerous place for somebody who has battled body image issues and eating disorders in their past. And I had to shift into a place of trust that I am doing all the right things for my body. I'm nurturing it. I'm taking care of it. And sometimes we don't lose weight right away. We just don't. It's almost like we're still, if you have high cortisol levels and you're stressed, your body's going to, hold water, right? You're going to maintain water. You're going to hold it in your belly. And that's what happens with me is I hold everything in my belly. Um, and you have to kind of listen to those hunger cues. So, as I mentioned with like larger portion sizes. Now, I when I say overeating, like I'm not a big snacker. There were days like after work where, and then when I realized that I was like binge eating after work some days, it was something I had to like just not do. I had to maintain that, step away from it. Um, but I would, even if I was full, keep eating, especially if I was at a restaurant, because I know I'm not going to eat the leftovers and it's a waste of money, right? If I only eat half. So if we go to, I have this my little favorite restaurant up near our camp. Um, I would get my bowl of cavatelli with two meatballs and have like five pieces of Italian bread and a salad and justify that it's okay because I eat good the rest of the week. But so I polish off this bowl, the meatballs, the bread, this salad, and I was already full from the bread, but I'm going to eat all of this anyway because we're paying for it. And that is a mindset that I would definitely recommend stepping away from. So that was something that I shifted because the reality is that the leftovers don't go to waste because my husband eats them. My husband usually ends up snacking on my leftovers. So they never really actually go to waste. So there's that. So now it's paying attention to that hunger cue or that cue that tells me I'm full. So it's practicing mindfulness while you're eating. So if I go to the restaurant and I have my pasta, I might have half a piece of bread before the pasta comes. Because realistically, the only reason I really like the bread is because I like to dip it in the sauce. So I enjoy my salad. And then I might have like half a piece of bread before the dinner comes. Then when dinner comes, I only eat a portion of the pasta and the one meatball. And when I'm full, and I stop. And I get a container and I box it up. That that has definitely changed the game for me, is not finishing my plate because I'm worried about it going to waste and just if I'm full, I'm full. And I actually find that I fill up a lot faster than I really knew. So I will stop when I'm eating, right? And I will sit back for a minute and see, am I still hungry or am I satisfied? And if I'm satisfied, I stop. If I want ice cream after dinner, I'll have a kitty cone and I'll just have like what I want that satisfies me. And sometimes I might only be like three or four bites of the ice cream and then I'm done and I put the rest in the freezer, right? If I don't want it, I don't have it. I just I check in and see if it's really something I want or not. Am I satisfied or not? If I want a snack later because I'm hungry again and I want like some popcorn, it's really just kind of paying attention to those hunger cues and making sure that when I do have meals, it's the proper amount of protein, making sure I'm getting that because we need at least 100 grams of protein a day and making sure that I'm getting the fiber and healthy carbs. Um, Now I talked to you about morning elixir. So I have this morning ritual that I do. And the first thing I do when I get up is I have my tea kettle all filled up with water and I turn it on. And when the water is warm, I will make a warm water with lemon and I add aloe vera what is it? Oh my God, I just drew a blank. Inner fillet. It's called aloe vera juice and it's the inner fillet. It's organic. And I will do about 2 ounces of that to the warm lemon water. And what that does is it cleanses, it detoxifies the organs, and it also optimizes your gut health, helps with inflammation, and it also lubricates your colon so that you release smoother. And then with the remaining, when the water's more, like let it get warmer, hotter, whatever. And in another mug, I add a lemon slice to that, and I add turmeric, pepper, ginger, cayenne powder, and cinnamon. And then I add the hot water, and that's like a morning elixir. And that's also detoxifies the organs, and it also helps boost the metabolism. It's a metabolic beverage that's supposed to really like increase and get things going, right? Like increase that metabolism, flush out your liver, do all the good things. Um, and before I work out, I break my fast from the overnight, and I have like half of a protein shake. And I just use plant-based protein powder, add it to almond milk and ice, shake it up. And I only drink half because I save the other half for after the workout. But I'm just getting that fast to be broken because it turns out that if you are a woman over 40 and you work out first thing in the morning, working out on an empty stomach is for naught. You are not going to see results working out on an empty stomach. You have to break your fast. So I recommend you can have like eat a little banana with a scoop of peanut butter, a little bowl of Greek yogurt, and add some protein powder to it, and some berries, something like that to break your fast. Nothing heavy. Like after my workout, if I have time, I'll make some scrambled eggs before I get in the shower, just to get a little more protein and fuel in me for when I go to work. Um, And then once I have everything all said and done, I go and I work out for 30 minutes. I have a whole workout plan that I have created. And it varies between strength training, cardio, and yoga practices. This whole 7-day plan that I find works for me, right? Um, Making sure that I am drinking plenty of water. They say half your body weight in ounces. So I drink about 70 ounces of water, if not more, a day, throughout the day. And especially when it's really hot, adding electrolytes to that. So I'm not sure if you've heard of Liquid IV, and I get the sugar-free brand, and I'll add some of that to water so that I keep the electrolytes. You can even add to your warm water with aloe vera juice a little bit of sea salt, and that also gives you electrolytes for the day. Um, so my workouts, like I said, they vary. And if I feel like I'm having a day, because especially when we're having hormonal shifts, um, we might feel more exhausted and depleted. So that's the days where I would recommend doing a nice, gentle yin yoga practice, or a yoga practice for digestion, something gentle. Because if we are already having hormone shifts and we might have higher cortisol levels, doing a HIIT workout or an intense weight training will actually increase your cortisol levels more. So the point is you don't want to do that. You just want to do something that's going to still give you optimal benefits, but something that's gentle. And you want to do that with intention of, doing something good for your body, not under the pressure of I have to, right? You want to. You want to reward your body with some cardio or some yoga. You want to nurture it. Your body's carrying you through a very, very stressful day. and situations and difficulties. And so you want to give it what it needs. So there you have it, you know, giving it some love with a nice loving workout or yoga practice. Um, you know, sometimes we have to look at medical guidance. So for a while, for a long time, since I studied at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I believed, and I had this thought in this belief that you did not need assistance through medications or surgeries to lose weight, that you could do it on your own holistically. And I wouldn't say I shamed people because I don't believe in shaming people. It just was something that, I wouldn't recommend as a holistic health and wellness coach until I ended up in the situation where my doctor's telling me that they're not happy with my BMI, that I am overweight, and they don't like it. And I don't like it. And that conversation opened doors. Um, and she recommended medication. And I was a hard no. Like, I'm like, are you talking like Ozempic? She's like, no, no. She said, no, no, not that. She's like, appetite suppressants. And we had a very lengthy conversation about it. And I did a lot of research on it and found that there were a lot of benefits to taking something short term to help you. And sometimes when we can't break that plateau on our own, we may need to explore something along those lines, like an appetite suppressant. And so I have given it a go based on my doctor's suggestion, my doctor's guidance, and with the plan of only being on it short term, just to get the ball rolling because I was struggling and it was affecting my mental health and my confidence. And I had kind of felt very shameful about it, but because as a holistic health and wellness coach, you you don't want, you're supposed to be, medicine free and all of that. But the reality is yes, I am 100% all about holistic measures. I am a big fan of using acupuncture over medications. I am a big fan of Reiki practices and meditations and sound baths, and I utilize of those things. But sometimes we have to lean on on modern medicine to help us out. You know, it wasn't a magic fix. What it did is it helped. It was the complete reset in how I approached weight loss. And it was from control to care. But it also helped me realize how much I was actually overeating because I really didn't see it. I didn't know. And it helped me connect with my body and practice mindfulness to be able to break that plateau and get the ball rolling. And it took a lot of work around that for me to let go of that shame. And I talk about this openly because I don't want anybody else to feel shame around making a choice for the sake of their health. Because obesity, leads to type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And honestly, I want to be 70 years old still hiking mountains. I don't want to be 70 years old and having a plethora of health conditions because I abused my body. Now we can't predict the future and what's going to happen, right? Sometimes there are things that happen that are outside our control. But if we can try to do what we can by taking care of ourselves to reduce those risks, I am all for it. Being proactive to try to prevent preventative care. I would rather invest in a new set of weights and invest in health and wellness products and invest in the well-being of my body over paying thousands and thousands of dollars in copays and medications. um, and not being able to do the things that I enjoy because I just beat on my body. Now, and believe me, I have beat on my body. I have beat the shit out of my body over the years between poor diet, toward, eating disorders, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, you name it. I had not been kind to my body for at least 35 years. I had 35 years of just total torture. And I only in the last 7 years have really learned to honor my body and love it and take care of it and give it what it deserves and what it needs because I realized that that's an act of self-love. Loving ourselves enough to want to give our bodies the the nutrients that it needs and movement and care, treating our bodies with the love and respect that we give to our family members and our friends. So sometimes we need to lean on our doctors for a little bit of help. And I am really grateful that I did because it definitely, definitely opened up my eyes to what I was actually doing wrong because I couldn't figure it out. And if I figured if that wasn't going to do it, then I would look into doing maybe looking into a nutritionist, you know, and looking into a health coach. I know so many of them. I could just go on Facebook or pick up my phone, you know what I mean, and say, "Hey, help me out," right? Um, but I went to my doctor first to also have my thyroid tested and had all my blood work. We navigated all of that to see, if there was something else going on. My thyroid is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. And, my blood work was wonderful. So it's like in that aspect, looking at it from the lens of I am still very healthy and I'm still taking care of my body. I just need to take care of this too, right? Um, I couldn't believe that I lost 10 pounds when I got on the scale today. I could not believe it because I had to step out of the box a little bit and I had to kind of let go of my beliefs. And now it's really understanding that it's it's okay to seek help through your doctors if you are struggling. And it's okay to rely on modern medicine, that this struggle is deeper than what's going on the scale. It's what's going on within us. It's going on, within our hearts and our minds. Like I finally got, and it's like I finally got my hormones balanced out. I'm not having the crazy um amounts of hormonal shifts like I was. I'm not having the hot flashes like I was. I'm sleeping sound at night. And I'm not drenched in sweat when I wake up. And, my moods are stabilized. I feel better. I feel calmer. Um, so the only other thing I can attribute to the issues with my weight and not being able to lose it is the metabolism has slowed and I need to readjust my my intake of food, what I'm taking in. Um, like at this point, I really don't have anything that's processed. If I want snacks instead of reaching for chips, I go for carrots or cucumber or apple slices with peanut butter. Um, I kind of gravitate toward whole foods again. And that's how it was for me before, right? When I lost the weight before, when I was in the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and the more I learned about food labels and what to look out for and whole foods and all the things, I really did not eat a lot of sugar, not a lot of whole foods. And somehow along the way, I lost touch with all of that. And if that's something that you can relate to here, I want you to know that I've been there and I'm in that. I've done it, you know? I am excited that I finally broke myself away from that again. And I don't foresee myself going backwards again because I only know what's going to happen. So when I get to the goal weight that I want to be, and I'm not trying to be super skinny. If anything, I'm trying to, get more muscle tone, and just be more fit. My goal is healthy. My goal is to be able to still be able to be active when I'm 70, 75 years old. My goal is longevity. My goal is to reduce, future health issues. Um, I mean, before all of this, when I was overweight, still smoking and all of that, I mean, not only did I have struggles with breathing, but back pain, migraines, like chronic migraines that stuck around for like 4 months and it ended up pulling me from work and I was hospitalized. Like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. GI issues like you would not believe. I mean, I wasn't even by the time I was 30, I had two colonoscopies and endoscopies and trips to the ER constantly, constantly. The guy, and every once in a blue moon, the GI stuff kicks up, but it's very mild. And I know what to do to take care of it. I'm on a probiotic every single day. I prioritize my gut health every single day and giving it what it needs to reduce inflammation that's storing in the gut. And a lot of times that's what that weight, that extra weight is the inflammation. And another thing to also be aware of is if you are starting to lift weights and start doing more strength training, and if your scale's not going down, it may very well be that you're building muscle tone. You're building muscle, right? And burning fat. In my case, that's what I would have loved to believe, but that wasn't. And that was also because realizing that I wasn't lifting enough, using enough weight to start seeing results. So I had to invest in a whole new weight set that I'm really excited about. Can't wait to use it. I'm so excited because now I can start increasing my weight and seeing more results. Like I said, I'm not trying to be buff and I'm not trying to be super skinny. I'm just trying to get to a place where you know, I'm toned and I'm strong and I'm healthy. I don't want to, because, in at this point in my life, in my 40s, going into perimenopause, ladies were running the risk of bone loss and osteoporosis and muscle loss. And all of these things are real and that they're happening. And that's why we have to be proactive now to avoid further issues. And the thing is that it does balance out your hormones so that you're not having a lot of those hormonal shifts. You're not dealing with the mood swings or the depression. And, I hear it so many times women are really, really, really struggling. Women my age are becoming more apt to talking about it. Like I did a whole episode a couple months back on perimenopause and menopause, the symptoms and things you can do to manage the symptoms. Go on back and take a listen to it. It's very informative. And now I'm kind of exploring my situation with struggling to lose weight. And that's something that is hard to talk about as a woman. It's like, yeah, I've put on weight. It's like, and it feels like all we have to do is look at a freaking cookie and we've put on 20 pounds just because we looked at it. I mean, that sucks. Like, that sucks. When I was in my early 20s, I used to eat frosting out of the jar. I did. I would stay up late at night, stay up all night. One of my friends, she'd crash at my house and we'd wake up in the morning and we'd have chocolate frosting for freaking breakfast, okay? Like, and never put on a pound and never thought anything of it. Now, if I did that, I would be in agony for days. I would feel like crap and I would put on, 10 pounds just for doing it. And those were, you know what I mean? And it's like you look back on it and you're just like, Jesus, how did I get here? But let's look at the fact that it's a gift that we got to be here, that we have made it this far. Ladies, we've been through a lot over the span of our lifetime, over the span of the last 40 years. We have been through a lot, and especially those who have had children. Your body has been through so much, and our bodies have carried us through so much. And guess what? Now we're going into a whole other phase of our lives. And we're going into this beautiful transition. And yeah, it doesn't feel good. I get that. But we also get to love ourselves through it and honor ourselves through it. And this is how we show up. This is how we honor ourselves and we take care of ourselves. And that is why I put together a 30-day program, because my 30-day program goes beyond the weight loss, because I also incorporate meditations and other practices that have helped me along the way. I've kind of disconnected from social media for a little bit and have given myself a break. And I'm so thrilled about that, because that I believe has also been a contributing factor, because now I'm not reading all of these posts and political jargon and things that are constantly showing up that are just upsetting me. So my cortisol levels that just went right down, and I'm connecting with nature. I'm connecting with myself. And that's what the 30-day program is really all about. It is a reset program of exactly how I've been able to get here, how I turned things around, how I want to show up for myself and others. This program is designed specific to you. And what is involved and what's inside this program is mindful movement, nurturing meals and guidance, guided meditations, journal prompts, and space for you. I recently had a client that I worked with reach out to me. And, she has told me that and here's the thing, she did the work. She showed up and she did the work. And I am grateful that I got to be a guide in this for her because this is a beautiful success story because we opened up doors and we broke down barriers that she didn't even know she had. She didn't even know these doors were closed. And within that, and we worked together for a short time, but within that time, she found her voice. She found her confidence. She was able to get herself out of a situation that was causing her harm and taking pieces of her away. And when she sent me this message over the weekend, sharing how these doors opened and she found her voice and she was able to honor herself and do what was best for her, it moved me to tears. And that's what I want to give to other women is that to break down those barriers so that they can find their voice and connect with their truest self so that they can find the strength to stand up on their own 2 feet and say what they say what they want and say it loud and honor their highest self. And the only way we can do that is if we connect to ourselves, if we give ourselves that space. And I have created that space for women to do just that. It's not just about weight loss. I think that when we start to open those doors and break down those barriers and we start to have that confidence and we start to love ourselves again, taking care of ourselves just comes naturally. It just comes naturally. And, you know, it's beautiful. And I'm just, you know, that's what the mission is. To give women that space for themselves to do exactly what they want. And sometimes we don't even know exactly what it is we want, but we just know that we don't want to stay stuck anymore, that we don't want to feel this way anymore, that we don't, we don't want to go coasting through life feeling like we don't have a voice, that nobody cares, that nobody is listening. And we wake up every day like we're on autopilot, move through the motions, end the day, and start over again. And you feel like you're on a hamster wheel. This is how we get off the hamster wheel. This is how we break free. And I have this extraordinary program that's going to help you do just that. Are you sick of being on the hamster wheel? Don't you want to get off? I got you. So click that link that's in the description, schedule the discovery call. Let's do this. Let's get you off the hamster wheel. Let's break down those barriers. Let's open those doors. Let's get your voice heard. And let's get you to that place where you are on top of the world and kicking ass and taking names. You're so worth it. And you're meant for it. And it's time you step into that. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And I look forward to connecting with you on that call. And I look forward to giving you that space to be able to dive in and to be able to step into your truest self. And so until then, let go of fear and let your spirit shine.